We are live at Red Moon Sound Studio in Knoxville, Tennessee. Our featured artist today is Daniel Kimbro.
Hey, don't let the light in, I'm not ready. Hold to gray cloud nice and steady. Mud in the ruts when my rain bands blow. Waters my garden, let my mind grapes grow. Lightning and a thunder, but I'm stuck inside. Wash away the roots, let my mind mudslide. Keep me in the pocket, keep the loud voice loud. I type it in a document I store inside a cloud. I need a rainstorm to wash away the brainstorm. I'm feeling that vein swarm wrapped around me like a blanket warm. I'm drowning in a brainstorm. I'm feeling those hot tears form. I'm a trying but I can't transform, like I'm drowning in a brainstorm. Well, I burned my elbow on the radiator, reaching back around for the toilet paper. The colony crackers come around for dinner, little longer in tooth and a good bit thinner. I'm bored up the ceiling, but the morning pours in. I forget to duck, I hit my head again. What time is it? Why did God make spiders? Give a wider berth to the black currant cider. I need a rainstorm to wash away the brainstorm. I'm feeling the pain swarm wrapped around me like a blanket warm. I'm a drowning in a brainstorm. I'm a feeling those hot tears form. I'm a trying but I can't transform. I'm a drowning in a brainstorm. I can feel it coming when we're riding in the car. It's like a Rorschach test on my weather radar. You can't stop it once the fronts get together. I feel it in my chest, I'm bound for heavy weather. I'm counting my breaths in my chest, it's tightening, waiting for the thunder after seeing the light. And I was hoping I could fix it with some meditation, hoping I could nix it with my medication. Oh, so many books looking for advice, but the best laid plans of my men and my mice gone in the suck zone, never touch the ground. There's a tornado tearing through my mind's little town. I need a rainstorm to wash away the brainstorm. I'm a feeling the pain swarm wrapped around me like a blanket warm. I'm drowning in a brainstorm. I'm a feeling those hot tears form. I'm trying but I can't transform, like I'm drowning in a brainstorm. I'm a trying but I can't transform. I'm a drowning in a brainstorm. Did my love get to you? Am I under your skin? I've been talking to you. Did anything sink in? Been walking around and around, caught in the eddy, spinning our sound. Can't say the thing that we both ought to hear. You can't hear shit with your fingers in your ear. Well, you're like a bad candle, you won't blow out. And I can't get a handle, I can't shake my doubt. Got me flowing like wax on a wig, got me blowing in a glowing hot glass on a stick. You stoke my fire with a laugh from your lungs. I feel so old and I feel so dumb. It's a crooked road through the corners of my mind, where your laughter lifts like an old wind chime. And the things that you hate in a mirror to your face are the very memories I could not erase. You got a big crease through your Wichita. You say saddlebags, I say yee-haw. Been talking round and around, caught in the eddies, spinning our sound. Can't say the things that you don't want to hear. You can't hear shit with your finger in your ear. Cool.
You played at the Ryman a few days ago.
Mm-hmm.
What was that experience like?
It's always cool. The Ryman has, just from a sort of a music nerd POV, like it has that right amount of what the room gives back to you. You know what I mean? I guess you could call that decay or reverb or echo. But it's just so sympathetic, you know, especially for sort of acoustic music. You know, I think this is my 6th time playing in that room, and every time I'm just like, yeah, this is what music sounds like, you know. And
so
also
it's
having
just as cool.
Yeah,
every time.
It is. I try to be very deliberate about taking my time, walking in, and you know, I always take pictures, like with the phone or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Who cares? It's rad. It's super cool. The thing about that space is that the audience also knows they're at a cool place, and so there's just immediately like a built-in vibe that everybody knows this is only happening with this combination of folks, you know, musicians and audience members at this moment. And so there's a real appreciation for the presence of that thing. I always feel very comfortable in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
I mean, just a few days later, too, you were at Trailhead in Knoxville.
The next day.
Yeah. Holy shit.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine
that
dichotomy.
I was definitely more nervous for that.
Interesting. Okay, why? Tell me why.
Because I'm leading the band,
yeah.
and I'm singing a few of my tunes, and it's incumbent upon me to keep the set rolling, to keep the fun factor, you know, up.
Yeah.
You know? But also because I was playing with 2 of my favorite musicians, I shouldn't be nervous to play with them because they're gracious and they're friends. And it was really fun. But still, you know, it's like if I were comparing the nerves level, neither of them were high, but it was definitely a little louder for the Knoxville gig.
Yeah, the fuzz.
It's also my hometown.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm always like, oh man, I have to crush it at home. You know what I mean?
That's so fascinating.
Yeah. It's just my own mind talk. You know, It is what it is.
Is it because you're afraid your parents will be there?
No, my parents are also like, my dad doesn't live close anymore, but he does come to performances, whether I'm touring or sometimes when he's in town and if I'm playing in town. But my mom's super supportive, and the feedback that I get, my parents have always been, you know, that's great that you're a musician. That's not why you're great. You know, you're not why you're great to us. And that's a really, really lovely permission to be given by anybody, but especially by the folks that you grew up with as providers.
Yeah,
you know?
Always trying to make them proud and stuff.
Yeah.
And then they're just like, no, you just have to exist. That's all we need.
Yeah.
So speaking of your parents too, you played in a band with them growing up.
We had a family
You
band.
and all of your family.
Yeah, Mountain Soul.
Holy shit. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, so I guess it sort of grew out of mom and dad always kind of singing around the house, and we had this big songbook, and it was full of myriad folk songs, murder ballads and bluegrass stuff, but also like Nancy Griffith and Townes Van Zandt, and they were always singing around the house. And I was getting into guitar playing, and though I didn't think that music was cool, it was an opportunity to play.
Yeah.
And the opportunity to make music always wins, you know. So we started playing as a trio, and I would sometimes try banjo, and I would play guitar. But then my two brothers started playing upright bass, and they were in middle school at the time. And the joke is, and it's actually kind of accurate, that Corey knew all the songs in like one key, and Jacob knew all the songs in another. But they would switch off,
Just
like,
based on whichever one.
yeah,
fit.
whichever.
Yeah.
Tune. Do you know this one? Yeah, please.
Okay.
But I actually think that they were gaming us. I think that they both knew, and they just didn't care. They wanted to like do whatever was fun besides play.
Right.
And they were like, all right, your turn. Now I'm going to go outside at Horton Store, which is this funky venue way up in Hawkins County, and go, you know, whatever. So yeah, we had a family band. We played a lot of like just really small, like volunteer fire halls. And there was one gas station we played at in Strawberry Plains where we had to push some tanning beds out of the way for us to play the gig. Until my dad choked on a ham biscuit, and I saved his life, because by the time he got to me to do the Heimlich, he was literally purple.
Holy shit!
Yeah, that's not really really important to the story, but I just
No,
wanted
but
to
now I
brag
want to
on
know it.
myself. Yeah. Well, I kind of told you he choked
Was
on a
that
ham
it?
biscuit. That's
That was
basically
it?
It's a pretty,
saved his
pretty
life.
fucking bluegrass. But we used to play up in Cumberland Gap at
Yeah.
a place called Webb's Country Kitchen, and we played in Greenville. We played cakewalks a lot. That's how I grew up doing stuff. We'd run down to Chattanooga and play the Signal Mountain Opry. But we eventually got to a level where we were allowed to perform on the WDVX local licks at 6, which is when WDVX, which is a local radio station for the uninitiated of Knoxville.
Just so everybody knows.
So everybody knows.
Right.
It was in a camper, and so we go up to the campground, and then we played Camper Fest, and so I kind of got into that scene a little bit, and then from there it was seeing the upright bass professor at UT play, because I had gotten into bass playing on the electric bass, because I auditioned on guitar for this rock band in Morristown, where I'm from, and they're like, well, you suck, but we could use a bass player. So that's how that went.
That was so nice of them.
Yeah.
So
and
kind.
I'd played trombone in band growing up, and so I knew all the bass clef pitches, and so I taught myself how to read on the electric bass, and then auditioned for All East Jazz Band and got in, and then that sort of allowed me to have some sort of gumption with which to contact Rusty Holloway at the University of Tennessee here in Knoxville, and I started taking electric bass lessons with him the second half of my senior year in high school, and he was like, you should come study music at UT. And I was like, yes, I should. But I seeing him, and then seeing a guy who's from Oak Ridge called Edgar Meyer, seeing those guys play the double bass, I was like, that's what I want to do. And so that's when I really found it. And I started playing upright bass, which is how I make my living. I started doing that when I started college, which is actually fairly late to start a violin family instrument. I later learned whenever I started hearing the technical proficiency of other bass players that I was encountering at some of the venues we played in festivals. And that was a bit of a rude awakening for my ego, and probably a good one. I don't feel like I'm that far removed from pushing tanning beds out of the way with Dad so that we can sing like a Gid Tanner and the Skill Diggers song, you know? I really don't. It's right there. Like playing my first gig, like the first song at the first gig that I felt like I crushed was, I know, but it was Smoke on the Water at the West Hamlin County Volunteer Fire Department.
Shame in that game. It's all right.
It was rad.
Yeah.
Man. And I remember, because instead of going, when the bass enters, you know, bum, 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 I decided to go, bum, 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 bum.
Hell
I did a
yeah.
big dive bomb.
Added your twang
And the
to
keyboard player was like, oh, shit.
What the fuck was that?
Yeah. And that
What
was
that?
that was it right there.
Yeah,
That's
you're
when
right.
I knew. I'm like, ha,
I
bass
made
players
it.
do have some sexual prowess.
Yes.
I mean, a modicum. Emphasis on the last three letters of that word.
Keep on living. Take 3.
I was pretty damn young when I asked her out. We were high school kids when we said our vows. I'd seen her at church 3 times a week, shaping those notes while the church pews squeaked. She held my hand and told me she was late. Said we can't stand to keep on living this way. So I married her quick as I could afford. She got twins in her tummy now, praise the Lord, that her belly wasn't showing inside that dress. But her mama could tell, intuition I'd guess. 9 months later, almost to the day, take a stand to keep on living this way. She said we can't afford to feed these kids, and I can't cook like Mama did. We ain't got money if we ain't got checks, bounce 'em like a ball on a wooden deck, and the postman brings more bad news every day. She can't stand to choose which bills to pay. He's thumbing on down to the Army Center, hitchhiking sucks in the dead of winter. Thumb so cold can't hardly write. To make that mark on the bottom line, I reckon he'll report back in 31 days. But I can't stand to keep on living this way. Well, the footlatch hangs up on the old crib. She's tired of doing diapers and washing out bibs and mandarin oranges from a can. It's a fruit cocktail from a government plan, and half of the meals come out of the microwave. And she can't stand to keep on eating that way. The chains crunch low and the brakes squeak high. Tell the old man thanks for the ride. Then a Buffalo bus trip to a chair where the clippers are loud when they buzz my hair. I'm a-watching that barber sweep my youth away. I can stand up straight, man, but how long till I get paid? Straight paid. There's black flies a-buzzing all around her house, and the kitchen smells bad on account of the mouse. He ate up all the raid underneath the sink. He shriveled up dead, and now he stinks. Can't scrub anymore, goddamn these stains. And she can't understand putting carpet in a kitchen anyway. He's standing in the rain and running through the mud. It's basic training, but it's anything but. He ain't never been cussed so bad like this. Gotta have permission just to take a piss. The boots gotta shine like the glass in a mirror pane. But I reckon he can stand on and hang on a few more days. It's 3 years later and the Army's alright. She's back home singing at the Church of Christ. It's cold fried chicken at the covered dish. It's 5 bread loaves and 2 big fish, and the deacon men read it straight out of old King James. She can't stand it, kids ever thinking that way. And 15 years and the girls say bye. Got him into college, mama, don't cry. We taught him how to love without too much. And she still smiles when I paint her butt. Yeah, money's tight, some things will never change. But I got a mind to keep on living this way. Said money's tight, but that won't ever change. But I got a mind to keep on living this way.
I can see what is continuing through for each of those different experiences that you've had in those very different settings of playing. And I think it all comes down to presence.
Yeah.
Is that it?
I think so. It's something I feel like I struggle with, but I've gotten a lot better at lately, though, is not...
But I think it goes both ways, too. Them being present with you and you being present with them.
I can't speak to the former, but I definitely practice for the latter.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, you know, I trying to be present, just trying to like, how can I help the other cats sound their best, you know? And I have, in the Jerry Douglas band, I have 3 dear friends. I always say 2, I think of the other 2 guys that aren't Jerry, but actually I've known Jerry I've been playing with him for 10 years now. Yeah. We're friends. And it's just odd for me because I've been a fan of progressive acoustic, bluegrass-derived, folk-derived music for a long time. And Jerry Douglas has been a musical hero of mine for a long time. And so it's still I still am kind of like, oh yeah, that's funny. I know that guy is, pooping in a hotel room beside mine.
Right.
Sorry, Jerry.
Every human poops. It's fine.
It's true.
It's fine.
And I've been playing with Mike. Mike was a colleague of mine here in Knoxville at UT, and we played bluegrass together. He was playing dobro. And Mike is one of my favorite musicians, and he's one of my favorite people. And he's a really dear friend of mine, and it's cool that we're now in this band together. And he's so supportive of any effort that I make to bring any more of my real self to a performance or a recording session. And the same is true of Christian. And Christian is like, he is such a enabler of acting upon your intentions, by doing that with his fiddle playing. And those are the kind of cats. I think of Clint Mulligan and Josh Oliver as those kind of people, and that's who I played with the Trailhead the other night. Those are the folks that I'm actively seeking these days.
Just bring your whole self.
Just bring your whole self. Don't hide anymore.
You
it's
don't
okay.
have to.
Like I didn't have. I practiced for this session today.
This gig.
It did.
Yeah.
But man, I guess we were talking earlier. Like I guess you could call it imposter syndrome. I don't know. We live in the great age of self-diagnosis.
Oh yeah.
But like, I'm just going to take the electric bass and I'm going to sing these two new songs. And it's just going to be the voice and the bass, and I'm not going to do it perfectly. And this is the song, though, man. I'm here to not care about the result because it has to be process oriented. If it's going to be anything like a long form game, and that has to be, for me, the way it has to be long form.
Yeah.
So otherwise, it's just too brutal.
Yeah.
The critic is too loud and brutal. Anyway.
It's okay.
Yeah, those guys are so supportive, and so I've learned a lot from them about presence.
Good. Yeah.
Um,
Sometimes we need to be taught that. I think we know it when we're born, and then we lose it, and then we have to be retaught it.
I don't have any.
Yeah.
I don't have any disagreement to add to that statement that you just made.
Thank you for sharing all of this with us.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it.
It's really cool.
Thank you.
It's like the Wayne's. Maybe I'm dating myself.
Wayne's World.
Well, here's because you come downstairs to the basement, and and like it's quite small.
Yes,
and,
it is.
When I was checking out the Red Moon sessions, I was watching like Quinters and a couple of others, and it's like, oh, it's a fairly large space. But
there's
the camera,
so much room for activities.
There's so much. Yeah, right.
There's not.
But you always I've noticed this in every studio space I've been in where there's video going down.
Yeah.
Like for some reason your brain assigns like so many feet behind a camera that don't exist.
Yeah, it's not real. Nothing's real. It's fine.
No. We're in a 3-foot box.
Truly.
It's a TARDIS.
Yes. Yeah. There you go. Except they can't take
Wide
you anywhere
lenses.
cool.
Yeah.
It's fine. I know we talked about this earlier, but where can people find and access you?
Yeah, the best way to do it is social media. Like,
don't apologize.
I'm pretty active on
Listen,
Instagram.
It's a tool. It's okay.
It is.
Okay.
It is a tool. Most of my listening constituents interact with me on Facebook if they are over a certain age, and then under. I thought for the longest time that my storytelling-y kind of songs only applied to people of a certain age. And there's nothing bad about that, apart from the fact that I thought, well, no one's going to buy my shit if they're all dead. No offense, anyone. But recently, with the Harley Kimbro Lewis thing and some of my other efforts, I've got like some high school kids being into it.
Just goes across the board.
Yeah,
it's ways to access
it feels
you.
really, feels good to me. Also, I think every human creator has a desire to be evergreen.
Yeah, of course. I can see that.
So that feels affirming.
Yes.
But finding my music is social media. Social media.
It's very Appalachian of you.
Well, if the shoe fits.
Well.
But yeah, man, I've done a record. All it needs is out.
Yes.
So I just have to get it mastered. So I'm trying to figure out how to raise money for that because stuff is expensive.
What's your Venmo?
It's Daniel Kimbro Bass.
Cool.
DanielKimbro B ass.
Damn right.
And you can just email me.
Venmo,
Yeah, Venmo, brother. Yeah, this is wonderful. This is really cool. It's been nice getting to know you and Ben and Cody and Joseph.
Nice job. You did it. You're doing great work.
Thanks.
And even if you're afraid to show people what you do personally,
Thanks.
it's worth it.
Thank you.
And you're doing good shit.
I'm going to keep putting it out there.
Keep doing it.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Kara. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Grew up fine on the eastern shore. I got the mouth of the bay outside my door. I feel grass veins and brackish blood, and I write my name in the tidal mud. I had a good life down on Cape Charles. I had a good wife who pulled a barge. That life is gone, and my wife, she's dead, asleep and sound on an oyster bed. For I found her laying with a man I knew. He was my best friend, my preacher too. He taught me how to pray the Lord, and I taught him how with my 44. I drove her out to the Chesapeake Light, where the gannets dive and the rockfish bite. I tied her feet and I bound her hands, she'll never lie to me again. Turns out killing isn't all that hard, but the hanging yourself is the harder part. Brother sent you night to make it tight and close your eyes, walk towards the light. Now be it hellfire or light of grace, there's only one way to find my place. There's just one way for the deed I done, I'd help my sins to the chosen one. When I'm gone, don't waste no time. Don't dig a hole on the county's dime. Don't let me sleep in the cold dark ground, or pile me up and then burn me down. Throw my ashes out in the eastern wind, I'll blow around and back again. Say maybe I'm back as a hurricane, teach the whole damn town to feel my pain. Or maybe I'll come back from the dust when the salt has turned my barge to rust. You'll see my lights, I'll drive her still, my price to pay for the woman I killed.